Hello and welcome to the Oak and Lamb YouTube channel. My name is Becca Oaks. I'm an owner and craft educator here at Oak and Lamb. So we've been crafting here and teaching crafting for many years, but one project that seems to never really lose momentum and lose the need for education is a glitter tumbler. Everyone loves glitter tumblers. They are very fun to make. They're very rewarding to do all the steps and come out with this absolutely gorgeous finished project. And if you are interested in making money with your die cut machine, then the profit with a glitter tumbler is pretty significant. So we get questions all the time about the best way to, or the best way that we think it is in order to create a glitter tumbler. We're gonna start to finish make a glitter tumbler with you all here today. So let's go over the supplies that we use here in the studio to create this. Some of them you absolutely 100% do need. Some of them are not a necessity, but I'll go through that and tell you. First of all, we have this PYD tumbler cradle. This is not a necessity. We do like this if we are putting a decal on our tumbler, just because the tumbler will set down in the cradle, and it does have some measurement guides on the side. Next up is obviously a tumbler. This is just a tall, skinny white tumbler. You can use basically any tumbler you can find. Stainless steel, these different colors. You can use a color-coded tumbler. Like we found some kind of can koozies that doubled as it was a koozie slash tumbler, and they were different colors. We found those at Hobby Lobby and we've used those. It doesn't matter. My preference if I'm doing a glitter tumbler though is white, because a white base is really great to add your glitter on top. However, if you are doing a pink glitter tumbler or a green glitter tumbler and found a base that was pink or green, then that is perfectly fine as well. So I also have white spray paint here. I'm not going to be using it today because my tumbler is already white, but if it weren't white, I would probably spray paint it white. A good, thick, even coat of white, and then you wanted to let it dry really well. Next up, I have UV resin. This is J. Diction UV resin. This is our preference for UV resin. We've used so many different brands and tested them, and this one is really great. The price is really good, and we do love that it comes in this large bottle. We use a lot of it here, and so it's more economical for us to use this size and this brand. You can also make a glitter tumbler with epoxy resin. So the AB part epoxy resin, whichever one you want. UV resin is a whole lot quicker. It cures in 4 to 5 minutes if you have a nice sunny day outside, and so that's our preference. If you're doing the AB epoxy resin, then you do have to let it cure overnight, and if you're having to put 2 coats on there, then it can be a double day process. So we don't really want to do that. Next up, I have electrical tape or these silicone collars. Now, these are so that you can create a nice and even line at the top and bottom of your tumbler. And so this just protects part of the tumbler that you don't want glitter and resin and things like that. So these are not a necessity. If you do not have these, it's totally fine. We will link them for you, but you can use electrical tape for the exact same process. You don't have to do this step. If you can be super, super meticulous, which is gonna be difficult spraying on adhesive and glitter to be that meticulous, but if you can do that and create a really nice line, then go for it. In my opinion, don't skip out on this step though. Next up, we have a crystal clear enamel. This is like a polyurethane spray, which is generally our preference. However, the store that we went to was out of poly, so we're using just Rust-Oleum clear enamel spray, and that will go over the glitter so that it will set it, and when we put our resin on, it doesn't move the glitter around. We also have Loctite adhesive spray. This is the magic in my opinion. This is gonna be, once you have your white tumbler, if you had to spray paint it, whatever, once it's white, this is the first step that goes on. You're gonna spray a layer of Loctite on, and then you'll put your glitter on top. A lot of people like to use Mod Podge for this instead. I don't prefer Mod Podge because it can get streaky, and sometimes the brush strokes will get thicker here and there with Mod Podge, and you can actually see that through the glitter on your tumbler. So Loctite spray is my preference. I have a UV LED light. This will cure our UV resin. However, it is a bright sunny day, so I probably will pop mine outside because it will be quicker to do that. I also have a torch lighter, which will help me pop any bubbles that might come up with my UV resin. You can use alcohol to spray that out as well. I do have a vinyl decal that I'll place on my tumbler. I have some gloves, and you might want to grab a mask for some proper PPE with that UV resin. I have my tumbler turner with the foam attachment, and then I'll also grab a dowel rod, and I'll show you in a minute why I'm going to grab that. And then I just have this silicone mat, which will help protect my work surface from the resin. Other than normal tools like weeding tools or something like that to remove my decal and place it, that should be all that we need. So let's get started. We are going to first off put our Loctite spray on our tumbler and then go from there. So like I mentioned, you are going to want a dowel rod probably for this, and I just take that styrofoam piece off the tumbler turner and place it on the dowel rod, and then I put my tumbler on like this. Now, the reason that you might want this is if you're spray painting, it's nice to have this. You can take this outside or in a well-ventilated area and spray paint without it getting on everything. Before we put our Loctite spray on, we are gonna go ahead and place our electrical tape on our tumbler. And if you wanted to put this back on your tumbler turner and rotate it, place it down, then you can do that. Or you can just kind of place it down yourself and just rotate it. Just make sure that you have a nice even application. You don't want it like 1/4 of an inch on one side and then 1/2 an inch on another. Just make sure it's good and even. Okay, and one thing that we like to do here is create a little tail with the excess. So cut a little extra here, fold this over on itself, and then you'll be able to easily peel this off when you're ready to do that step. So then do the bottom one the exact same way. And now we are ready to put a nice even coat of Loctite all over this. Okay, now that we have that layer of Loctite spray on it, it looks, I don't know if you can tell or not, but it kind of looks a little bumpy all over. That's totally normal. Don't think that your Loctite is messed up. The really cool thing about Loctite is you have quite a bit of working time, so you don't have to feel like you have to rush and get this glitter on so that it doesn't dry before you get it on. You might notice I put a piece of paper under here. That is because I'm going to use it to catch all the excess glitter, and then I'll put the excess glitter back in the bottle. I did forget earlier on that extensive list of things that you're going to need, glitter for our glitter tumbler. This is by LMNOP. It is the mossy color. If you've not checked out LMNOP Design Boutique for glitters, check them out. They have an amazing selection of glitter, and you can even get a custom mix of glitters made there as well. They're really nice to work with. Okay, so we're just going to open this up, put our glitter on. It doesn't matter how heavy-handed you are because it's not wasteful. We're going to pick this back up and reuse it like I mentioned. Okay, I don't know if you can tell or not, but in person, especially like right here, it is a little bit see-through. You can see the white coming through. So if you're doing a darker glitter like I'm using, you may want to put 2 coats of glitter on there. And so what I'm going to do is clean this up. Like I said, funnel it back into my bottle, and I'm going to put another layer of Loctite on here and then another layer of glitter. Okay, now we're ready for our other layer of glitter. Okay, after our second layer of glitter is on there, you don't have to let this dry. You can go ahead and put your crystal clear enamel or polyurethane coat over it. Make sure it is a good even coat. You do want this to dry good after so that it doesn't move around and your glitter doesn't move around either. Okay, so as you can see, I went ahead and took the electrical tape off, and it was really beneficial to have those tails that I was talking about. And FYI, if you're like me and are a little heavy-handed with your clear enamel or polyurethane spray, you can use a heat gun. Make sure it's on a low setting or it will make it bubble up. But you can use a heat gun to help expedite that drying process. But we are ready now to go ahead and put our first layer of UV resin on this mug. So I went ahead and put it on the tumbler turner. You can see it's tumbling right now. I'm going to place this silicone mat underneath, and I'm going to grab my gloves and my protective PPE. You will want a mask or respirator or something like that. And we will be ready to go ahead and put our first layer of resin on. Before I put the first layer of resin on, you are going to want to make sure that you get a nice even coat. And what I'm going to do is stop my tumbler turner, place a strip, a good strip, and kind of zigzag back and forth, and then gently with my finger kind of massage it back and forth. Then I'm going to let it rotate a little bit more, place a little bit more on there, smooth it out until there is resin on the entire tumbler. Now, you are going to want to overlap onto the white part of your tumbler. You want the resin to go over the edge of that glitter. If you don't do that, then the glitter will crumble up. It will not be adhered to the tumbler like you want it. So make sure you do that. But let's go ahead and get started here. Do not shake UV resin. That's one thing I want to point out. You want to be able to shake it down into the bottom of your bottle, but don't shake it before you get started. It will put bubbles in your resin, and you don't want that. So you can see here, I put a nice healthy coat right here. Especially with my first layer, I want to be able to put a decent amount on here. When I first started with glitter tumblers, I was a little bit scared of resin and only wanted to put a thin coat on it, but it ended up making me have to do 3 coats of resin. So the goal here is to put this nice even coat on, make it good and thick, and then I will put a decal over this coat, and then I'll just need one last coat in order to seal that decal down. So that's the goal here. You can see it's running some. That's totally normal, not a big deal. That's one reason why we put this silicone mat underneath, just in case we have extra runoff. But anything that you put the resin on, for instance, if I got resin up here too far and didn't want it there, I can get that off. You can use alcohol to remove that acid, or to remove that UV resin, and it will come off just fine before you cure it. No big deal at all. Okay, once you have it good and covered, you're going to want to take your finger and just smooth it out like this, just to make sure that every bit of glitter is completely covered. You'll be able to feel the difference if it's not, but you definitely want to make sure that you have a tumbler turner. We do get questions, do I have to have a tumbler turner? And the answer is you can make one without a tumbler turner, but what's going to happen is this is self-leveling. UV resin is self-leveling, and if you don't have a tumbler turner, then it is going to be lumpy and uneven. It will likely pull to either the top or the bottom, depending on which way you have it resting to cure, and you don't want that. So the tumbler turner you can get for around $30, even less if you're not getting a whole kit, and it is absolutely worth the investment in my opinion. So now is the time, if you're using a UV light, to go ahead and grab your light, and it will take longer because your light is only hitting part of the tumbler at a time from where it is rotating. So you're gonna just have to hold it for several minutes. I would say probably around 10 minutes to cure inside with a UV light. If you are curing outside, you can go ahead and place it outside and it will cure in probably 3 to 4 minutes. I do want to tell you though, I'm going to encourage you, when you take your tumbler outside, it's going to start curing immediately. So if your tumbler turner is not on and it happens to be pooling some of your UV resin, it will cure that way. Go ahead and plug your tumbler turner in before you take it outside. Take an extension cord with you so that it can go like outside, or if you're in your garage, however you need to do that, but make sure it is it's actually turning and tumbling once it hits that sun. Okay, it is good and cured, not sticky at all. It feels really great. If you run your fingers through this and there are spots on it that are particularly lumpy, for a better word, or for a lack of words rather, then you can take a fine grit sandpaper and just sand it down. Make sure that you sand like the full section instead of like just this little bit. You want to sand the full thing, the entire tumbler. And then you're going to just put another coat of resin on anyway, so it won't matter. But this doesn't need any help. It doesn't need any sanding, which is really nice. If I want to, at this point, grab my little cradle, I can do that. I could also put the decal actually on the tumbler turner if I want to, but I'm just gonna grab this decal right here, or the cradle, and then I'll grab the decal and I'm going to just place this on here. So let's remove the backing. Okay, and then we'll smooth this down really nicely with our fingers. You can grab a squeegee if you want to, and also use it. Since your resin is nice and cured, it won't hurt it at all. Get that good and down. And then we'll remove our transfer tape and we will put 1 coat of resin on the top and we should be good to go. It should be finished. Once you've removed that transfer tape, go ahead and use your fingers just to smooth down again. We're going to place it back on our tumbler turner, grab some more gloves and our UV resin and put that final coat on. Now, much like the first coat that we did nice and thick, you're going to want this one nice and thick so that you can't feel this decal at all. Okay, once you have a good thick final coat on, you shouldn't be able to feel any bumps or any of the edges where the decal is or anything like that. Now is when you want to take your torch lighter and pop any bubbles. Now you're not going to see as many bubbles in this as you would like a solid color non-glitter tumbler. Where you would see the bubbles is really on this decal, and I gotta be honest, I don't see any, but I'm still going to run this over. You want to move it pretty quickly and just pop any of those bubbles that you might see. Okay, once you have all those bubbles popped, you're ready to put your UV light on it again or take it back outside. Remember, if you're taking it outside, to leave it turned on. Okay, it has cured outside. It is good with that second coat. I don't need a third one, but if for some reason you do, not a big deal. Just sand it down lightly with that fine grit sandpaper and put another coat on there. It looks so good. It feels so good. I'm so happy with this, and I hope that you are excited about glitter tumblers as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this quick and easy tutorial for how to create a glitter tumbler. I hope to see all sorts of amazing products that you all create with these tips and tricks that we have shared today. If you have any questions or comments about this procedure, definitely make sure to leave those comments down below. And if you are not already a subscriber of the YouTube channel, go ahead and hit subscribe. It is free to do that. If you would like to jump in a little bit further and become a flock member here at Oak and Lamb to receive member-only benefits, member-only podcast, member-only education, member-only courses, and member-only cut files with free commercial use license, now is a great time to do that. You can do that in two different ways. We have our annual membership and our monthly membership, which are the same membership, just paid differently. Our annual membership is discounted already, but if you want an even bigger discount, you can use the code 35OFF for $35 off the entire year. If you prefer to pay monthly, you can do that as well and use the code FUN, F-U-N, for $10 off your first month here at Oak and Lamb, making your first month $9.99. If you decide Oak and Lamb is not for you, you can cancel at any time without any penalty or fuss. Let us know if you have any questions about the membership or this project, and I'll see you here another day for another video.